Hello, my name is Andy Saltzman. I am a senior in the digital media program at Liberty University, and for my senior project, I am doing an ad on V8 energy drinks. I've always been a creative person. When I was younger, I would go to skate parks and I would have friends videotape me on my scooter doing tricks, and then I would take that video home and make little edits, and I would have a lot of fun with that. When I was in high school, I took a class called video production, and I got to learn about professional grade tools for video production, such as Premiere and After Effects, and I really did fall in love. I didn't know if I would do it in the future, and I actually didn't even plan on it, but the Lord took me back to video production when I transferred to Liberty University. God really used a camp that I worked at the summer before I transferred to Liberty. I was working there and they offered me the position of editing their videos that they would show to the kids at the end of the week, and I took them up on it. I was quite excited, and I really had that part of me sparked again. The kids and the other leaders really loved my work, and I felt a sense of belonging in that position. Someone even asked me if I was in college for video editing, and I thought, well, maybe I could be. And when I transferred to Liberty, I learned about their great digital media program, and I decided on that, and I really couldn't be happier with my decision. Another part of my story has been caffeine. I have been drinking it since high school, and I really do like exploring and finding new drinks. But one that I've always stuck with is V8 Energy.
It's V8 Energy.
I don't feel terrible after drinking it, and I do think it's a healthier option compared to regular energy drinks, so I stick with it. And at Liberty, I found that I really do like making commercials, especially of things that I love. I have made multiple commercials on V8 Energy. I want to make each one better and better, and that's where I'm at right here with the culmination of everything I've learned through these 4 years and in my high school years. And so I'm so excited to share that with you. Alright, so how we're going to do this is I'm going to first show you each scene, and then after each scene I'm going to explain the tools I used to make the scene as well as who helped me out. And then I'm going to explain how I edited it, and then I will explain what my favorite parts are. So without further ado, let's get this going. Alright, so that was my in-studio scene for my project. And so I'm really happy with how it came out. As you saw, there was a couple different shots. All of the visuals were mine. I created them. I did not use anything off the internet for them other than some sound effects. So the first shot, you can see the drink rotating, and for this, I used a little dolly I got off the internet for about 20 bucks actually. I got it on sale, and it was just such a great find for this project because it allows me to get close up, really smooth shots rotating around the can. And then there were 2 shots that we got that were not on the countertop where we did most of the shots. They were the splash shots and the explosion shots. So for these shots, we got some plastic, and we got some water and a little tub that was clear. That was just a perfect find for making these shots. For the second shot, I used some fishing wire and that just worked pretty well. I actually had to crack the drink before because it wouldn't do it, and then I added a sound effect. So for the third shot, that is the splash shot. And I used all 3 of the splash shots from each of the fruit combinations for that one. I'll show you some of the behind the scenes right here of how we did that. And for this next shot, I used my roommate actually to help pour the drink out, and I captured it with the dolly, and I dollied around his hand as he poured the drink and get a really good feel for the flavor of the drink. The next shot is actually a transitional shot. Well, I used it as a transition to transition from the peach mango to the pomegranate blueberry, and I'm really glad that I was able to use a smooth transition such as these 2 rotating shots to do that, as well as the explosion behind it to show the flavor. After this, you can see the pomegranates and the blueberries drop in from above, and this is another of the splash shots, and this is probably my favorite because of just the feeling it gives you and the fact that it kind of chases the explosion shot downwards, and it kind of just fills in the spot that was where the drink was before. And then, so this is one of my favorite transitions of sorts. So this was another splash shot, but with this one I actually used a couple layers of the water and the fruit. Magic Mask in DaVinci is amazing. It allowed me to do this. I'm going to show you how I did this. So this is actually 2 layers of the same fruit. This is just the fruit. The bottom layer is just the fruit. And I used a Magic Mask to just isolate those fruit so that they could fall by themselves. Then for the other shot, I used a polygon mask to fill in where the water would be. So once you put them together and then on top of the drink, they just fall over it, and I took down the opacity a little bit so you could still see the drink. It's just a very cool and refreshing shot that really shows the energy as well as the flavor of the drink. And also it transitions the color from this bright shot right here to the darker shot, which is the next one. And so these start out the hero shots. So these I had a lot of fun shooting. I shot all 3 of the drinks with their fruit scattered about them. This was an idea that my friend Isaac gave me. I'll show you us setting it up. Well, mostly him. He did a lot of the work to put up the fruit and the drink together and make it look really appealing, as my other friend helped me film with his nice Komodo. So for each of these shots, I had the camera on the little dolly, the dolly cart that we have, and I'm glad with how they turned out. And as you can see, once it gets to the 3 shot, this is actually the transition to the next scene, which that is the skate park scene. So this is kind of the start of this story right here of following the drink through different people's lives, showing the versatility of the energy drink as something that can help people out. And I'm excited to get into this scene and explain a little bit more about all of it. All right, so for this scene, one thing I wanted to point out is how much I love that in my process, I was able to intermingle ideas I had before filming with some ideas that came after it or weren't exactly planned. So first I had the main idea of my skateboarding friend to come and be the actor for it. So I really wanted him to pick up the drink, take a sip, and then go on his merry way, do a skateboarding trick, which he picked out a kickflip down a 4-stair, I believe it was. I had to rely on a gimbal stabilizer to make sure it fixes my running. Then he would go back to the drinks and grab the pomegranate blueberry flavor, throw it up in the air, and I would match cut that shot with the next shot. So that's it for that scene. I'm very happy with how this turned out, especially the match cut. It just ended up working very well. Alright, so this is the library scene where my friend, she would be the studier slash paper writer, and I wanted her to catch the drink that the skater threw up. So I match cut this, and I'm very happy with the match cut, as you can see. And then I wanted her to also take a sip of the drink, put it down, and then start her paper. And this is where it got really fun and interesting. I wanted there to be a time change. And so how I ended up doing that was, I thought, what better than have the camera go behind her back and then show her later in the day when she's about finished with the paper and she got it done with it and she's relieved. And so I kind of used an arc around her back to show that change and that completion of her paper. So how I ended up doing this was I had somewhat of another match cut where I blended the two shots together. And so for this, I used a polygon mask, bring in the next shot, and I'm very happy with how that turned out. It was a little bit of finagling with the time, and also if you look, you can see that her shoulder's up here, and then on the second shot, her shoulders like down here. But since it's so quick and her hair matches almost perfectly up between the shots, it works for this shot. Now this second shot, where it shows her later in the day, was quite difficult to get. Something that I realized while videoing it was the different things that the camera had to focus on. So for Sony cameras, you can tap the screen and have it focus on different things in the shot. And so I was tapping on the screen while moving. I didn't even use a gimbal because the gimbal died. That was a point of frustration with this shot, but I ended up getting it. But I had a really hard time with this shot because it was a bit shaky, and I actually found a new software to help use the gyroscope of the camera, the gyroscope data from the camera, to fix the shakiness of it and crop in, move it where it needed to move, and it ended up working perfectly. Well, as perfect as it could be. It was still a bit shaky, so I couldn't speed up the clip. That's why I had to cut right here, and I just ended up doing that. I'm really happy with that, and I was actually planning on having the camera go up and then in through the can. So I didn't know if that would work, but I really wanted to try. And I took a stab and it ended up not working. And so it's one of those things where you live and you learn, and sometimes they don't work. So that was this shot, but I think that without it, it still works great. And my friend, she did a great job, and I'm really happy with this scene because I think it's dynamic. It has some skill that I had to put into it, as well as it helps tell the story of V8 being a multi-purpose, delicious energy drink that you could use for even your studies and even writing a paper. So I'm really happy with how this scene turned out. Alright, so this is actually the last scene of the video. So this scene was really fun to shoot. This was shot a little bit later after I had edited a bunch, but I was still not sure if I was going to use the shot of the camera trying to go down into the can, and so I still planned on having the ability to do that. So the first shot, that's what it's actually doing. It's going up and then in line with the can, and then out a little bit as he goes and grabs it and takes a sip of it. And so for that shot, I was really happy with my handheld abilities. I kind of had flexed them in the last scene, but I was happy to do that again and have it turn out usable. So as you can see, the focus on the can was a little hard to get, but getting the camera to look like it was going through his eye and then into what he was looking at, which was a screen, him playing Fortnite on his gaming PC, and then also him celebrating. And that was something I was really excited. It was something I decided to do later in the process of filming, and I was really excited to pull it off. This part of the scene, I'll show you a little bit of how this works. This is a fusion clip. So as you can see from this node tree, this is actually quite complicated to do, but the simple way to explain it is to tell you I wanted there to be a hole in his eye, and then in that hole you would see what he was seeing, or the screen, the next shot. So I took the video of what he was seeing and I timed that video, and then I had a hole cut out of the video that would track his eye. So this is what the hole looks like, and you can see that it tracks his eye around using a tracker. And then after that, I have a bunch of transform nodes that help the camera to know, or the scene to know, to zoom in right where the hole was that was put in his eye, and then all you would see is what's in his eye, which is the next scene. And of course I needed to zoom in with that scene or zoom out just to make it work all well, and it's a little bit complicated, but overall the idea was simple and I had some help with it. And that's one thing that's really fun about DaVinci, is there's so much that you can do with it if you really try and you want to, and you can research and you can use YouTube, and that's what I did. The big important thing is to try and to look and ask questions to yourself, to the internet, to your friends, to figure it out, and you can accomplish great things with videos. But overall, it turned out almost better than I could have asked for it to. And yeah, so there are all 4 scenes of my commercial, and now I want to show you it all together. So without further ado, here we go. Let's see it.